Have you ever wondered which decade was the most elegant in automotive design? Today I invite you to travel back with me to the 1950s, an era when Europe created true works of art on wheels. We're going to discover the 10 most beautiful, incredible, and sophisticated European classic cars of that golden decade. Rare models, sports cars with soul, collectible pieces that still inspire admiration and desire. Ready for this gem of a video? Then, let's begin. 1950, Jaguar XK120. Imagine it's 1950. Europe is slowly rebuilding after the war. Factories are roaring back to life. Cities are regaining their shine. And suddenly, a shape appears that seems less engineered and more sculpted. That car was the Jaguar XK120, a perfect blend of beauty, power, and British elegance. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement. The first thing that stands out is its name, XK120. That 120 isn't decorative. It represents its top speed in miles per hour, 120 miles per hour, making it the fastest production roadster in the world at the time. A number that might sound ordinary today, but in the 1950s it was pure science fiction. Visually, it was flawless. Its long hood, flowing lines, and low, sleek stance all radiated effortless elegance. The XK120 didn't need aggression to command respect. It was like a Savile Row suit with an engine. And speaking of the engine, under that hood lived a 3.4-liter inline-six fed by dual SU carburetors. Its technology came directly from British aircraft engineering. Jaguar used its wartime experience to create a power plant as precise as a Swiss watch, but with the soul of a fighter plane. And the best part? The XK120 didn't just meet expectations, it shattered them. In a closed road test in Belgium, it reached 132 miles per hour. In that moment, the world understood that Jaguar wasn't just playing the game, it was rewriting the rules. But what truly immortalized the XK120 wasn't its records. It was its timeless beauty. Its balance of power and elegance made it an icon that still inspires designers more than 70 years later. Sitting behind the wheel of one today is a near spiritual experience. The smell of leather, the smooth growl of the engine, the way sunlight bends across its curves. It's living history. And of course, exclusivity comes at a price. A perfectly restored Jaguar XK120 can fetch over $150,000. But those who own one aren't just buying a car. They're buying a piece of an era when speed was art, and art was speed. 1955, Alfa Romeo Giulietta Spider. This car was Alfa Romeo's answer to a new era of motoring, one that was more romantic, more open, more free, literally open to the world. Designed for the sun-drenched roads of the Riviera and the cafes of Milan, this two-seater gem was a collaboration between Alfa Romeo and the legendary coach builder Pininfarina, which already explains why its silhouette seems sculpted with a paintbrush rather than industrial tools. It wasn't a car of brute power, it didn't need to be. Its magic lay elsewhere, in its perfect proportions, its gentle yet confident front end, and its rear that seemed to wink as it passed by. Under the hood lived a modest 1.3-liter four-cylinder engine, but despite its small size, it delivered a surprisingly lively and playful driving experience. It was light, responsive, and its precise steering made every corner feel like a dance rather than a maneuver. But what truly made the Giulietta Spider a masterpiece was its context. It was one of the first European sports cars designed for large-scale export, especially to the US market. Imagine the impact. In a world of heavy, chrome-laden coupes, this slender Italian beauty arrived, painted red, with a romantic accent. It was a mechanical sigh that crossed the Atlantic and seduced Hollywood, becoming a symbol of style, youth, and eternal summer. And though it doesn't reach the speed of modern supercars, the emotional experience of driving a well-restored Giulietta Spider remains unmatched. There's something in the way the wind slips over its low windshield, how the sunlight dances across its curving bodywork, that awakens memories you've never lived, but somehow feel your own. Maybe that's why a good example today can cost between $100,000 and $130,000. Because you're not buying a car, you're buying a feeling, a movie in motion, an Italy that never goes out of style. 1954, Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing. Some cars are beautiful, some are fast. And then there are those rare few that change the course of history. The 1954 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing belongs to that sacred category. A car that seemed to have arrived from the future to show the present what perfection in design could look like. One glance is enough to understand why it became an instant icon. Its famous Gullwing doors, from which it takes its name, weren't just a styling gimmick. They were a structural necessity due to its innovative tubular frame. Yet, they turned out to be one of the most breathtaking design decisions in automotive history. Opening those doors felt like opening a treasure chest. Every single time. The 300 SL wasn't just beautiful, it was a precision machine, a triumph of German engineering. It was the first production car ever equipped with direct fuel injection, allowing it to reach speeds of over 250 kilometers per hour, unimaginable performance for 1954, and still impressive even today. But it didn't boast about its power, it delivered it with quiet, predatory grace. Every line of its body, every metallic curve, seemed designed not only for aerodynamics, but for the soul. The Gullwing had a sculptural presence, almost otherworldly. It wasn't merely a car, it was a moving piece of art. Only 1,400 units were ever produced, and each one today is an absolute collector's jewel, often selling for well over $1.5 million, depending on its condition and provenance. But beyond its price tag, what stirs the heart is what it represents. The 300 SL embodies a time when the automotive world dared to dream without limits, when innovation was paired with elegance and engineering with imagination. And now, let me ask you, collector to collector, enthusiast to enthusiast, if you could have just one European classic from the 1950s in your garage, would this be the one? Or is there another that captured your heart even more? Let me know in the comments. 1956. Ferrari 250 GT Berlinetta. To say Ferrari already evokes emotion, but to say 250 GT Berlinetta is to speak of a legend on wheels. Born in 1956, this masterpiece represents the perfect harmony between handcrafted luxury and pure sportiness, a balance that few brands have ever achieved with such precision. The 250 GT wasn't built to impress in a garage. It was built to conquer roads and racetracks, with the same grace that an Italian tenor conquers the stage. Every inch of its body exudes elegance, with firm yet fluid lines, a feline stance, and a grille that seems to smile with subtle arrogance. Its design, a collaboration between Pininfarina and Scaglietti, had a clear mission: to look stunning at rest and even more irresistible in motion. The sound of its 3.0-liter V12, developed by Gioacchino Colombo, wasn't mere mechanical noise. It was music, a symphony of 12 cylinders, tuned to seduce the ears of the truly passionate. And let's not forget, this Ferrari wasn't just for Sunday drives. It raced and often won prestigious events like the Mille Miglia and Le Mans, driven by gentlemen with leather gloves and nerves of steel. It was a diva that knew how to fight, and that made it even more desirable. Here's a fascinating detail that few know. The 250 GT Berlinetta was among the first models where Enzo Ferrari himself insisted on maintaining a perfect balance between aesthetics and performance. At a time when many believed that racing cars didn't need to be beautiful, for Ferrari, beauty was part of power. It wasn't optional, it was essential. Today, this rolling work of art has transcended its era. It's not just a classic car, it's a living museum piece, capable of stirring the hearts of collectors and design lovers alike, even when standing still. It's not uncommon to see examples fetching over $3 million at international auctions, burning hearts as easily as it once burned fuel. 1954. Porsche 356. Speedster. Sometimes, what's truly revolutionary doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need aggressive shapes or absurd numbers. All it needs is coherence, soul, and identity, the kind you can feel in your skin. The 356 Speedster never set out to be the most powerful or the most extravagant, and yet, it became one of the most desired cars of its era, and of all time. The Speedster was born almost by accident. Porsche wanted to conquer the US market, and one of its California distributors, Max Hoffman, a visionary of his time, suggested creating a simpler, lighter, more affordable version of the original 356. The result was a car with a lower windshield, minimalist interior, removable fabric roof, and a personality so authentic it charmed everyone at first sight. Aesthetically, it was pure understatement, but elegant understatement. Its subtle curves and perfect proportions gave it a quiet confidence. It didn't need adornments. Its silhouette spoke for itself. Low, compact, poised like a sprinter ready to leap. And under the rear hood, a 1.5-liter flat-4 engine delivered around 70 horsepower. Not much by modern standards, but the car weighed under 800 kilograms, making it agile, responsive, and addictive in every corner. But beyond the numbers, what made the Speedster immortal was the driving experience. Sitting behind the wheel made you feel part of the machine, not just a passenger. The chassis transmitted every vibration, every surface change. It was raw, yes, but also deeply human. It connected with a generation that wanted more than a car. They wanted a feeling. Today, owning a Porsche 356 Speedster is like possessing a piece of the brand's original DNA. Its auction value easily surpasses $500,000, and every restored example is treated as a treasure, not for its power, but for what it represents. The purity of a perfectly executed idea. 1953 Aston Martin DB2/4. Some cars command attention through noise, speed, or extravagance. And then there are those that captivate through pure elegance, the kind of presence that requires no explanation. That was, and still is, the Aston Martin DB2/4, introduced in 1953 as an evolution of the original DB2, now with more versatility, space, and soul. At first glance, its design doesn't scream for attention. Its lines are soft, understated, almost humble, but that's exactly where its magnetism lies. The curves of its body seem sculpted with the precision of a London tailor, everything in its right place, perfectly measured. It's the automotive equivalent of a custom suit, simple, yet absolutely impeccable. This model was one of the first true Grand Tourers, designed to offer comfort and luxury on long journeys without sacrificing the sporty essence that defined the brand. It was powered by a Lagonda inline-6, initially 2.6 liters and later 2.9, with twin overhead camshafts. With up to 140 horsepower, it could reach over 190 kilometers per hour, delivering its speed with a smoothness that felt almost aristocratic. One of its most distinctive features was its 2+2 seating configuration, allowing two small rear seats without compromising the harmony of the design. It also introduced an uncommon innovation for the time, a rear fastback hatch, which made it surprisingly practical for its class, refined, functional, and ahead of its time. But what truly made the DB2/4 an icon was its connection to British high society. It was driven by artists, nobles, and influential figures who sought more than just a car. They wanted an extension of their identity. Rumor even has it that Ian Fleming drew inspiration from the DB2/4 when imagining which car his famous secret agent with a license to kill would drive. Today, a well-preserved DB2/4 represents the silent soul of British luxury, without noise, without excess. An example in excellent condition can easily fetch $250,000 to $350,000, especially if it retains its original mechanics and pristine bodywork. 1955 Citroen DS19. Every once in a while, automotive history takes a leap so dramatic that the cars leading it seem to come from another world. That's exactly what happened in 1955 when Citroen unveiled the DS19, a car that didn't just break the rules, it rewrote them. From the very first glance, the DS looked like something out of science fiction. Its low aerodynamic silhouette, fluid lines like liquid sculpture, and covered headlights made one thing clear. This wasn't just another car. It was a technological and artistic revolution. While other manufacturers looked to the past, Citroën boldly stared straight into the future. But the real shock came when driving it. The DS19 introduced self-leveling hydropneumatic suspension, a system that allowed the car to literally float over the road. Every bump, every imperfection disappeared beneath its wheels. The comfort was so extraordinary that many compared its ride to an airplane on land. It also featured power steering, front disc brakes, rare at the time, and a semi-automatic gearbox that eliminated the need for a clutch pedal. It was a car decades ahead of its time, and because of that, it was often misunderstood. Some people simply weren't ready for such innovation, but those who drove it never forgot it. Even its debut was legendary. At the 1955 Paris Motor Show, Citroën sold over 12,000 units on the first day alone. The crowd was hypnotized. Nothing like it had ever been seen before, and probably never will again. Today, a well-restored Citroen DS19 can fetch over $90,000, depending on originality and condition. And now, I want to ask you directly. No filters. What do you think of the Citroen DS design? Was it a stroke of genius, decades ahead of its time? Or an eccentric experiment that went too far? Let me know in the comments. There's no wrong answer, only honest ones. 1954, Lancia Aurelia B24. In the world of automobiles, some cars stand out for their power, others for their speed. And then there are those that, with just one glance, whisper to you in Italian. The Aurelia B24 Spider, launched in 1954, is exactly that. A car that doesn't need to raise its voice to leave you completely captivated. Before being swept up by the chaos of the modern industry, Lancia was revered for its technical innovation and understated elegance. And the Aurelia B24 may be the ultimate embodiment of that philosophy. Designed by Pininfarina, its silhouette alone is enough to tell you this is no ordinary car. There's proportion, lightness, and a cinematic sensuality to its lines that make it feel alive, as if it were moving even when perfectly still. Beneath that graceful exterior, however, hides a car with real character. The Aurelia was one of the first production sports cars to feature a V6 engine, a layout that seems commonplace now, but was revolutionary in the 1950s. Its 2.4-liter V6 delivered around 110 horsepower, but the numbers don't tell the story. The power came on smoothly and refined, ideal for long, open drives along sun-drenched coastal roads. And speaking of open skies, the Spider wasn't just a roofless version. It was an experience unto itself. With its curved windshield, delicate chrome details, and an interior that was both simple and elegant, it was impossible not to imagine yourself wearing leather gloves, gliding through Tuscany with the wind on your face and soft music playing as the countryside rolled by. Today, finding one in good condition is a mission for true collectors, and understandably so. A pristine example can easily surpass $800,000 depending on version and provenance. Because when you buy a Lancia Aurelia B24, you're not just buying a car, you're acquiring a fragile, brilliant chapter of Italian automotive history, 1951 to 1958. Pegaso Z-102. In an era dominated by Italian, British, and German manufacturers, no one expected Spain to unveil one of the most advanced, radical, and beautiful cars of the 1950s. The story begins with ENASA, a state-owned truck manufacturer that, under the direction of former Alfa Romeo engineer Wilfredo Ricard, embarked on a near-quixotic mission to build the most advanced car in the world, from Barcelona. And, incredibly, they succeeded. The Pegaso Z-102 was a masterpiece of mechanical art with the soul of a race car. Its bodywork was crafted by Europe's finest coach builders, including Carrozzeria Touring and Sauchick, resulting in an array of exclusive, one-of-a-kind variations. Some had sharp fins, others flowing futuristic curves, with chrome details that looked like hand-cut jewelry. To see one in person was to fall silent. It looked less like a car and more like a vision, a machine from another planet. But beauty was only half the story. The Z-102's engineering was astonishing. It featured a V8 engine up to 3.2 liters, with supercharged versions producing over 280 horsepower, propelling it to 250 kilometers per hour, making it one of the fastest cars in the world at the time. Some even outperformed contemporary Ferraris, and we're talking about the early 1950s. And here's what makes it even more remarkable. Its production was almost entirely handmade. Only about 85 units were ever built, turning the Z-102 into an automotive ghost, a mythical figure seen only in books, old photographs, or the memories of a lucky few. Today, a Pegaso Z-102 in immaculate condition can fetch over $700,000, with rarer coach-built examples commanding even higher prices. Because beyond its metal and mechanics, This car represents something almost poetic, Spain's brief, shining dream of engineering perfection. 1956 BMW 507. This was BMW's direct response to the dominance of British and Italian sports cars in the luxury market. The company wanted to prove that German engineering could also be sensual, fluid, and perfectly proportioned. Designed by Count Albrecht von Goertz, the 507 was an aesthetic revolution, with soft lines, flowing curves, and a twin-kidney grille that didn't intimidate but seduced. Under the hood sat a 3.2-liter V8 with twin carburetors, delivering around 150 horsepower and a top speed close to 125 miles per hour. But beyond the numbers, what truly captivated owners was the experience. The refined sound of the engine, the precision of the steering, the harmony between elegance and strength. It wasn't a car that roared, it whispered with class. Yet, there was one fatal flaw. It was too perfect for its own good. The production costs were so high that BMW could barely sell it without losing money. What was originally intended to be an affordable roadster to compete with the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL ended up as an exclusive toy for the elite. Only 254 units were ever built, instantly transforming it into a collector's treasure. Celebrities like Elvis Presley owned one, and its image, often seen in ivory white or midnight blue, became immortalized as the definition of the perfect car. Not ostentatious, not modest, simply perfect. Today, seeing one up close is a privilege. Owning one is another story. Restored or original examples can easily exceed $2 million, depending on provenance and condition. But beyond its market value, the 507 represents a time when luxury and design met in perfect balance, without excess or pretense. And now that we've traveled through this decade filled with elegance, artistry, and unforgettable rarities, tell me, which of these European classics stole your heart? And which one wouldn't you park in your garage, even for free? Don't leave without commenting. Your opinion is part of this community. Here, we celebrate every memory, every emotion, and every story a classic can awaken. And if you enjoyed this video, don't go just yet. Click right now to watch our video on the most beautiful American cars of the 1950s. Because if Europe gave us style, America gave us muscle, chrome, and glorious excess. I promise. It's a list that will make you say, now that's design. See you there.